Great. Thank you for having me. Thank you, everybody, for coming. Just going back to the baseball analogy, I'm a little concerned that I'm batting eighth here. I hope that's not by design. So what I want to walk you through today is just a little outline. I want to demonstrate the potential value of remote monitoring of exercise. I want you to be aware of some currently available technologies. I want to demonstrate the utility of our custom design application. And then more importantly, I want you to hear from some of our participants. And so I've got the talk out, bookend by some of our participants, and you'll hear from some of them throughout. So in terms of, we've heard a lot about barriers to exercise. And one of our participants comes to us and he says, this is his direct quote, "As a quad, it's very hard to find exercise programs. I mean, the last exercise regimen program that I had was in therapy. While I was in the hospital, I was an inpatient. You don't get the regimen of exercise as a quad because most gyms aren't even slightly accessible." So we've been hearing that as a theme throughout the day. Dr. Rimmer talked a lot about once you're discharged from rehab, what happens? Well, what happened with this gentleman is he went home and he hasn't exercised since. So we recognize there are common barriers to activity and exercise programs, accessibility, finances, lack of experts. So really, when you think about it, what barriers could home-based training with currently available technologies reduce? So back to the RAMP model, and we're doing this work primarily in the home. We're focusing on usability, and we think if we can impact the usability, that will lead to better adherence. If we have better adherence, that will lead to improved health and function. I'm a physical therapist and a physiologist, and I've spent most of my career research in terms of ICF language in the body functions and structures and then in the activities area. But really what I've learned in the past several years is the big deal is participation. Can we impact participation by changing body functions and structures, by improving it at functional activities? Does that lead to increased participation? So, in terms of our usability, what we go into this with is the intervention efficient? Is it equally effective? And our participants satisfied? We think if we can hit those, that would promote adherence and again lead to improved health and function. So could remote monitoring increase usability? So in terms of, if you want information on exercise, you get access to the internet. You can find information. You can find a website that tells you how to lift weights, how to do aerobic exercise. We have a great resource you've heard about, NICPAD, for people with physical disabilities. So there's access to information. What about apps? Everybody's got a smartphone. I watch you all, I see you all looking at your smartphones constantly. I was doing the same in the back. You can find an app. You can find an app for anything. You want an exercise app? You can find it. You want an app to monitor something? You can get it. Okay? And then finally, sensors. In the past few years, we've seen a proliferation of sensors being able to monitor activity, track heart rate, track location, do a lot of different things. So how can we take advantage of some of these technologies? We have current technology. You can measure heart rate, blood pressure, respiratory rate, skin temperature, body weight. You can do that all with a sensor. You can do it remotely, and you can see it from a distance with the assistance of wireless technologies and mobile phones. So our connectivity is high. I think it's clear that people are connected, and now their devices allow sensors to make other things connected as well. So how can we take advantage of that? So what we want to do is we started to think about developing our tele-exercise system. We have access to these things, but one of the things you find is, it's kind of intuitive, but when you use an app, it's usually used alone. So you pull up an app, you want to check, how you're doing in your heart rate, looks good. You want to call your friend, talk to him, you close that app, you open up another app. So there was a challenge switching between apps. So our goal was to integrate the use of sensors for remote monitoring of exercise, and as well be able to simultaneously communicate with participants. So that's what TextMe is, another acronym, Telehealth Exercise Training for Monitoring and Evaluation of Home-Based Exercise. And so we use an Android tablet, a bioharness sensor, Google Chrome software, and a remote server. And so what it was like. So you take the Zephyr bioharness, it's basically a fancy heart rate monitor with a strap there. That talks by Bluetooth to a tablet, gives information on your heart rate, respiratory rate, and some other information. that goes up into this cloud that we hear about. I'm still not sure what the cloud is, but the data goes somewhere. And it can show up in my office. And I can see what people are doing. Okay? So that's the general idea. This is what it looks like from the client's perspective. So the client's at home, they're looking at the trainer, they can see their heart rate, they can see their respiratory rate. We give them a target heart rate zone. With technology's inevitably going to fail at some point, so if the video goes out, we've got the ability to send text messages to them just to give some instructions. Hey, I can't see you, I'm going to call you on your phone. So we have the ability to do that. This is what it looks like from a coaching perspective. We can see the participant, see their heart rate, see all the previous sessions, send messages to them. That's what it looks like. This is what our setup looks like in the home. We've got a demo in the back. We give a participant, we started this project with people with spinal cord injuries. We give them an upper body ergometer, a tablet stand, a heart rate monitor, and that's what it looks like at home. So one of the great things about this system is the ability to interact. And so I'm going to just play a short video. This is Byron. This project could not happen with Byron live. He's outstanding with the participants.
There we go. All right, how's it going?
I got your watermelon I'm gonna bring you Tuesday.
Oh, right. Okay, you can start going, pushing to the moderate zone whenever you're ready. All right, heart rate 133, and pushing 135. You're in the zone. What watts is that?
101.
101. Holy moly.
All right, so you get a taste of just a little interaction between the trainer and the participant. You see they've developed a relationship. This individual has a small farm. Obviously, growing some watermelons. He talks about bringing them on at some point. So it's just a really great platform to interact with the participants. So in terms of the process, in terms of the development of the system, we gather potential user feedback from we got people at Lakeshore, members at Lakeshore, test out different technologies. Do you think you could put this strap on and off? We discussed it with them. We pilot tested it in the home to help refine the technology and the intervention. The project's currently ongoing. We've got a group, and particularly with our spinal cord injury folks, we've got a group that trains at home with the technology and the trainer, the telecoach, and then we've got a group that trains at a gym of their choice. So our program officer, Margaret Campbell, recommended that we needed to have a comparison group and provide them with access to a gym of their choice. We pay for it and see how their attendance is. So it's just some preliminary results. Is it efficient in terms of our usability terms? Is it efficient? The people training at home have showed up to 97% of their appointments. So they're showing up. I was a practicing physical therapist. If we had 97% attendance as our clinic, we would be excited, we'd be thrilled. 97% adherence to their exercise sessions. Just as a side note, we've got people currently enrolled in our gym group where we pay for their memberships. One person went about half the time. We called another person, and asked Byron to call them just to follow up and see how they were doing before we came to this meeting, just to give you some flavor of it. One individual went to great expense to come to us for the pre-testing and post-testing. He wanted to be in the plan. He wanted to start exercising. He heard we pay for a gym membership. Comes up, travels 3-4 hours to get to us just for pre and post for pre-testing and come back for post-testing. Call him up. How's it going with your gym membership? I said, I haven't made it yet. Been 4 or 5 weeks. And so there's something to having home-based exercise as an option. Is it equally effective? The jury's still out. But we are finding participants are improving their aerobic capacity, increasing physical activity, and then the satisfaction we'll talk about later. So we did that in people with spinal cord injury. We've also transitioned it to a different group, people with Parkinson's disease. So people with spinal cord injury tend to be younger. We think maybe more technologically savvy. So we thought, can we do this with people with Parkinson's, which is a disease associated with aging, hallmark signs, tremor, rigidity. We don't need to discuss that. But can we do it in people with Parkinson's? And so this part of the project is currently ongoing as well. We've got about 7 or 8 people enrolled. And I just want you to hear from one of our participants.
It's a lot easier to do it at home than to drive somewhere else. Because you do it at home and you can do it at your own leisure. I would recommend it to anybody that has Parkinson's or muscular dystrophy or anything like neurological disorder.
We didn't pay him to say that stuff. That was his honest opinions. And so I've been surprised, all of our people that have called us with Parkinson's, most of them have wireless internet at home. A lot of them have smartphones. They're familiar with the technology. My dad's 70 years old. He's got a better iPhone than I do. So in terms of their satisfaction, and just I've evolved as a scientist that we really need to get the qualitative aspect, find out what do they really think about what we're doing, as opposed to just some objective outcomes that we assess. So just to give you some flavor, in terms of does it help overcome barriers, participant says, I did it more because it's convenient, and on my time, I don't have to make time to go there, go in, come back, you kill an hour easy. A typical gym doesn't even have the facilities for me to get to a lot of the exercise machines. Does increase participation? This is what I'm very interested in these days. This is a quote. I can do what I did before, but a lot more efficiently physically. So I can get stuff done. Some things I can do faster, some things I can do and still have energy. I can stay up and stay out longer. My days are 16 to 18 hours in the chair, where I was at before was like 12 hours. And one of my favorite quotes, I'll just give you the background on this individual. His hobby was he loves to do remote control car racing. And there's a club that he would go, and he likes to hang out with his friends. And his quote was, I noticed after exercise that I could drive my car longer. Driving the car for me requires a lot of shoulder work because I have to hold my hands still while I'm controlling the car. Before the intervention, I could race for 10-15 minutes, then I'd have to take a break. But after the intervention, I could do it for an hour or two. So he's engaging more, he's participating outside of the home. Okay, we don't want to do this just to keep people at home and not get out, but they do the exercise at home, they have more energy to go out and do other things. And then the technology, most of them felt like it was easy to use. So in summary, in terms of is there usability, is it efficient? It seems like it's removing some barriers. Okay, we're not saying it's the solution to everything, but it does help to remove some barriers. Is it equally effective? Preliminary results are promising. Are people satisfied? We've received very positive feedback from all the participants. So, we think it's promoting adherence, and we think it can improve health and function. So our future work, we're going to continue to increase the number of participants. We really want to get a better grip on the adherence numbers and the effectiveness. Future work, we've already expanded to some new populations. We've got some internal funding. We're doing work with people with exacerbations of COPD. Liver transplant surgeon came to us and wanted to see if we could do some remote exercise training with him. We've talked to him about work. But we also feel like we need to really increase our participant social interaction. So they're getting one-on-one interaction with the trainer. The trainer's great. I think it would be better if we could do some of that and increase interaction between participants. And we need to make training a little bit more efficient from the trainers. Again, acknowledgments, we thank our funding source. We did get some additional funding from the Parkinson's Association of Alabama to help purchase some equipment. The team that helped develop the app, Lakeshore staff, and we'll give Byron a lot of the credit. You can see him at our booth. He is our trainer, technology master, all